He is the king of violence. He is the face of BKFC, and he is now a winner in 1 minute over Thiago Alves at BKFC Knuckle Mania 4. It is always my great pleasure and honor to speak to Mike Perry. Mike, how are you?
Yes, sir. I'm doing very good, Damon. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man. Thank you for taking time for me. Of course, congratulations on another win, another show. Man, I know they all feel special, but man, that was such an incredible performance, and that crowd in LA was going nuts. Like that was a show. That was an incredible show on Saturday night.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I thought it was very fun. There was lots of ups and downs on the card, and I mean, they even add to it. It's unfortunate what happened with the Mick Terrell and Juggernaut fight, but I mean, it really adds spice to the show when a fighter, you know, we've seen injuries before and fights, and we just remember them, and it's just interesting. So the show had all the ins and outs, and it was a beautiful show. LA showed up, showed so much love, and the crowd they looked incredible. They were beautiful out there. Y'all should have seen it, man. From my point of view, it was amazing.
Absolutely. Going into the fight, Mike, I got to be honest. Like, I thought, man, Thiago could be, the toughest guy you fought so far. He was a former BKFC champion, had 2 fights in BKFC. You guys fought in the same weight class, the UFC. I was like, man, this could be a war. 60 seconds. There was no war. There was one put down and it was done. Were you surprised that you put him away that quickly? We know you're capable of that, but were you even surprised how quickly it went?
A little bit because I thought he was getting up. I thought I was still focused on the game plan. I was gonna go hit him some more, and the ref called it, and I was like, man, it was. But he got me with a good shot. He got me with a good one, man. A straight right came in there. I didn't even know that I got hit. I don't even think I reacted to it very much. And I was ready for a lot more. That's why I jumped on the microphone with so much energy, cussing and yelling and screaming but mostly positive messages what I passed along and to, in support of the people that came to the show, the fans and David Feldman at BKFC and my sponsors and then they asked me, who do you want to fight? And it's like, I don't really have anyone that I have bad like will for except for Darren because he writes me little dirty messages and when he's drunk or whatever. And I also thought about, Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya, how they have this story together. And there was a man, Pereira was in a bar and a man saved him from that bar and brought him to come fight. And then he said he wants to save that man from that bar. So he wanted to save Izzy. And I'm thinking, I don't like Darren because the shit he be saying, but I'll save him from that bar for a chance to punch him in the face.
Yeah, I saw, we saw the back and forth a little bit on Instagram after the fight. I know we talked about Darren beforehand. We heard about the offer and all these kind of things. Like, in the back of your head, like, that is the fight that made the most sense this time around. It didn't happen. Is there any part of you that just feels like you're yelling into the distance? Like, he keeps talking, but do you think this fight will happen?
Well, I feel like, it's got to. I feel like it's got to happen because he's talking it too. He's like, he said that it's got to happen. And, what more do you need than me getting on the microphone after I knock somebody out in, 42 seconds and they got an 18-second count to stand up and they finally waved it off, and he's bigger. 185 shouldn't be too hard to make. He can't be that big. He used to fight at 170. So fighting, cutting down to 185. Even if we had to make another weight class for it, to meet, and I'd have to go a little bigger, a little higher, so he could be comfortable enough to come get these knuckles on his face. Like, but I got some people telling me, I called him out, but like, don't keep chatting about it because maybe he's fine over there. Maybe he doesn't want to fight at all, but he still talks like he does. And that's the thing, right? Is with these internet folk that they say they talk, they talk online, they type and they say whatever they want to say. And then, I'm not going to get a fight with one of those guys. Those guys aren't proven. And Darren is a proven, battle tested professional fighter. So to call him out, it's like you fought for prize money at one time in your life. Are you really set to where you don't want to fight for prize money anymore? Kudos to him if that's the case, because all I ever want is this fight money. There's nothing like it. It's such a feeling, the adrenaline that fills you, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot, and obviously I had a quick fight, so I have to make a quick turnaround, and I have to keep fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. I asked you kind of a version of this question beforehand, but I didn't want to talk too much about Darren Till because obviously you had Thiago Alves in front of you. It was a little disrespectful to talk about other guys when you had Thiago in front of you. But now I want to ask you, Mike, like, because my theory on Darren Till is that he kind of left the UFC on a bit of a rough run, and there's no shame in losing to the guys he lost to. I mean, he lost to the current middleweight champion. There's no shame in that, but having a couple losses in a row and you kind of fade away a little bit. He's been out for over a year now. And taking on a guy like you in your bare knuckle debut, that's a tough go. Like that's not an easy ask of anybody. Is there any party that feels like there is risk and he sees that risk? I'm not saying he's scared. I never say that about a professional fighter, but is there any party that feels like there is that, like he sees the risk in facing you in a bare knuckle fight? Like that could be a fourth loss in a row. That could be, I mean, listen, he gets knocked out in a minute. That's a pretty tough spot to get into. Is there any party that feels like maybe that's playing a factor? Because I can't imagine it's the money. If they offered him $2 million, I can't imagine it's the money.
Yeah, I understand. I was just having a little bit of this conversation. And, because there were other guys, like, Brian Barberena and Gilbert Burns was talking, not to each other, but, Barberena was talking about, oh, I need someone. And Gilbert Burns was on the Money Pod talking with Marcano about how much it would take to fight bare knuckle fight. And the thing is with the guy, with those two guys, it's like, I want you guys to come to bare knuckle and beat someone in good fashion first. Get your feet wet, get your knuckles wet, and see what intricacies this game has and teach yourself because you're already high-level mixed martial artists. So teach yourselves the differences, and then we can make the fight later on. But with Darren, obviously, being told that he said no to 2 million. He doesn't want to do bare knuckle. I've already said, this guy said he doesn't want to do bare knuckle, but I want a chance to punch him in the face. So whether it be if I got to put the pillows on my hands or even smaller pillows, platinum pit fights it's coming. It's around the corner, and we're looking to make a card and a show, and it'll be my promotion, and we can offer and pay very well, and we'll have some gloves so you don't have to be so scared. And just my opportunity to punch on this guy and settle differences. That's what I'm looking for, because I don't see anyone left in bare knuckle. I mean, Thiago, we've never saw anyone do what I just did to Thiago Alves. All through his UFC career, he had 2 bare knuckle fights, which I was thinking Eddie had 1 bare knuckle fight. He got to piece me up a little bit, yeah, but he quit and he gave up. And, all these guys are giving up when I hit them with my bare knuckles. So, to have more of a fight, depending on rule sets, that's another thing too about all types of sports, competitive sports is combat sports is the rule sets are different in all of them. And so, just got to come to the table and talk with my people. My people are very easy to talk with because they know that I'm willing to fight no matter what. So that's all it is I was trying to make a fight and give these other guys time to come over here, get your feet in the door, get your knuckles wet, beat on someone else. If you do it in great fashion, then we're talking. And I'm the cash cow. I'm I'm the money fight. I've been saying this. So, bring it on, motherfuckers.
I love it. I love it. And it's funny. We talked a while back, Mike, about the dream fight, so to speak, and it was kind of set up a year ago. And it's funny. It popped up on my feed of my history on my Facebook. I posted a photo, and it was almost exactly a year ago when you did the face off with Conor. And I said, do you think that's realistic? And you said, hey, Conor's a real one. Like, it could really happen. But then we saw the announcement over the weekend. Conor is now invested and bought a piece of bare knuckle. He's already talking. He was talking yesterday, saying they should get Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo in the bare knuckle. Like, I have to imagine, like, you don't get to punch your boss. I would assume you don't get to punch your boss. So I assume the fight with Conor is kind of probably to the side. But, like, does Conor coming in, like, do you feel like that is going to help, like, make these fights easier? Not saying Darren Till is going to suddenly sign up because Conor's around, but, like, Conor does attract people. And so, like, you got to imagine that's going to help your career as well, of these guys coming into bare knuckle because they want to fight for BKFC, but they're also going to have Conor promoting them now.
Yeah, it's great to have the noise because no one markets quite like Conor. I mean, even when he made the announcement, it was a flashy little video, but I want it to be known that I am my own boss and I am also part owner of the BKFC and I'm in here doing work. So, maybe a Conor fight. The only thing about the Conor fight that could be a possibility, it's just time because he still has 2 on his UFC contract. After he fights Michael Chandler, he'll have 1, and then UFC's coming to the table, probably going to attempt to lock him down on deals, and probably, the best deals you can put together. I don't know. So, if he ever wanted to do it, that would be his choice because that is why he still fights, is because he wants to. And I can respect that all day. A fight would be very fun considering we both fought Eddie Alvarez and he pieced him up real clean. Eddie didn't really touch him. And Eddie got me, he punched on me a little bit, but, I kind of like that shit. So, I'm just a sick bastard like that. And, I don't know who else they're thinking, what else they're thinking. Because, Eddie had 1 bare knuckle fight and he landed some punches on me. So I was looking at Thiago like he's got 2. He had the bare knuckle world title. He had the 2 bare knuckle matches, and he's proven very tough in combat sports throughout the years. So, I guess I trained like I thought he might be ready to put it on me, and then the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, I love that attitude though, because listen, I have a lot of respect for Conor and everything that Conor's done, but you're right when you say Conor's a real one. We all heard the story back in the day when Jose Aldo got injured and he told Dana White, just give me somebody, and they gave him Chad Mendez, completely different fighter, different style. He still took the fight. I think Conor, if Conor became a free agent, I really do believe Conor would do bare knuckle, and I think he would fight you. I don't know that it would end well for him because it hasn't ended well for anybody, but he seems to be a fan, and I love that. Like I said, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but I love that. I love that he's into it. I love that he's into the sport.
Yeah, I think Conor. It's hard to say that nothing won't end well for Conor. And the thing about me in bare knuckle boxing is, it's always ending well for me as well. So when you get two guys in the ring like that, I mean, you're talking a heavy magnitude fight here. American, I used to say things like, man, I'm the American Conor McGregor. What did Rampage Jackson say about himself? He was the first Conor McGregor. He, he called himself Conor McN-word. I'm not. That's how I'll leave that one. So, recently, actually, on my podcast, I can't wait for the episode to come out. I called out lots of people, man. I called out, just to name a couple, Rampage Jackson. I called out John Jones. I called out Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm calling them all out, bro. Anybody, and you know what? If they want to practice fight first, go ahead, get you a practice fight, or two. Get you some, because I'm taking off over here. I'm 5-0 in bare knuckle right now, 6-0 in the past few years. When it comes to this boxing, I need a challenge. I need a real boxer over here, or someone I want to beat up, like Darren Till. I want to beat that guy up, but I don't think he's coming to do no gloves. I'm in a weird place because I'm very good. I'm in a very good place, but I'm also like, who's next? What's it gonna be? Sometimes in fighting, it could be your last fight and you didn't even know it. And that's up to the big wigs. I'm still on contract, so like I said, I'm my own boss. But at the same time, when they call, they say, "Hey, we have an offer." Oh, great! I'd love to hear it. And the offer's extraordinary. So I know that there's some other prize fighters that want an extraordinary offer. But now it's something that has to be earned. They have to prove that they want the offer. They can't just get in the ring, get paid, and leave after I knock them out. They have to earn that payday.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's so rare. I said this on my podcast. I said it's so rare to see anyone leave the UFC and find more success, because we always think of the UFC being the biggest show in the world, and it is. No one's going to deny they're the biggest, but the success you found in BKFC is astonishing. You become one of the biggest faces in all of combat sports. I'm curious, Mike, you mentioned a lot of names there. I don't have a name off the tip of my tongue to throw at you, but I'm curious, is there any desire, because I know you talked a lot about, crossing over, you'd be willing to go to boxing to fight Jake Paul and do some of those things. You've been backup for Logan Paul and his fights, things like that. I'm curious, is there anyone from boxing, like a boxing star? Would you like to see a boxing star come over and give you a challenge? Because that's one thing that we haven't seen yet. And I don't know a name, and I'm not going to sit here and say I know it's going to be David Benavidez. I don't want to throw out names because I really didn't think about this, but like, would you like to see a pro boxer come over and give it a try? Like a guy, because we saw obviously the guy who just beat Luis Palomino. Obviously that was a big fight. We've seen some other guys come in and have some. We just saw that crazy fight with Angulo on Saturday night, with that insane fight he had. Would you like to see like a pro boxer with a big name, maybe rather than like an Eddie Alvarez, like a pro boxing champion come over and give you a challenge? Do you think that would be a challenge?
Absolutely. I mean, there's some incredible boxers out there. And some of them are so good at throwing the hands that, they could come over and get the shot. For example, I've heard the name Caleb Plant come across the desk, and I was very interested in that. I think he's an incredible fighter, and I would love to have the recognition to face a guy like that, and just have people put some respect on my name, because I put a lot into this. I trained really hard, and I can fight, whether it be gloves, no gloves, any style, mixed martial arts, bare knuckle boxing, boxing itself. I can fight, and I have an opportunity to be the most successful combat sports athlete as far as transitioning in and out of different organizations, sports, and just from coming out of MMA into boxing, bare knuckle boxing, and going boxing or going back to MMA, I believe I can have success. So let's make it happen.
Caleb Plant, I love that idea. That would be a tremendous fight. And obviously, he's a good fighter. I think that'd be tremendous. Maybe they can make that happen.
Let's go. I'm all here for it.
Let me ask you this, Mike. I'm curious because we hear all the time guys that you get called out occasionally, and as you mentioned, Brian Barberina, guys like that. I'm curious to ask you this question, Mike. I do my podcast with Matt Brown. I know I mentioned that to you before, and we were talking about your fight on this week's show. And he said, Matt said, if you're trying to build like a bare knuckle boxing robot and trying to build like the ultimate bare knuckle boxer, it would just be Mike Perry. And I laughed because it's true. He's like, it would just be Mike Perry. That is the bare knuckle fighter. I'm curious, this is a broad question. I'm not saying these are guys you're calling out, but if you look at the world of combat sports, UFC, boxing, whatever it is, if there was one guy that you would say looks like he should be a bare knuckle fighter, not saying this is a guy you're going to fight necessarily, just a guy that you look at, who would be like the dream guy beyond Conor? I know Conor's already shown the interest, but is there one guy out there you look at and say that guy would be fun in bare knuckle? Not even for you, just in general.
Man, there's a couple, man. I mean, Brian Barberena kind of looks like he'd be a bare knuckle fighter. Julian Lane is a bare knuckle fighter. I mean, he's covered in fucking tattoos, and we fought. And he needs another opportunity for a real fight. It's just why I give him the mention, because he was ready for a battle and didn't get one because his opponent dislocated his shoulder swinging wild, and we all thought that the Russian guy was going to give him a better fight, and turns out nope. So just I mean, when I think about bare knuckle fighters, who's another me?
There is no other you, Mike. Come on now, there is no other you. You are one of one.
Let's go, man. So there's some experienced bare knuckle guys. There's I was looking to make a run at the 185 title in bare knuckle. I think that title is about to be challenged for. There's a 185-pound title fight coming, because that's what my performance was at 185 pound. Captain Deadpool is the current 185-pound champion. Not a big talker. Dresses nice, and he's got a chill attitude. If I was going to go for the BKFC bare knuckle boxing world title, it's the 185 titles I want. The 175-pound champion, he's my biggest fan. He wants to fight me so bad, but because I knocked him out twice in MMA, and he is the 175-pound champion, he keeps coming to the fights and asking to fight me. But I've had 2 fights since his last fight. Like, he's not fighting anyone. He's not making any noise. You couldn't tell me who his last 2 opponents were that he faced in bare knuckle. And so, and I heard, we don't want to hold up the division if I'm sitting there holding the title, because we want big celebrity fights. Oh, it just came to me. I mean, but he needs practice too. Robbie Lawler, he's a monster. We've been caught, and then we did it with Thiago. You know what I mean? Like, that fight was supposed to happen a long time ago. It didn't. We made it happen. Boom. Robbie Lawler, that fight a long time ago. I called him out, and then we were gonna fight, and then he pulled out, and then maybe I didn't train as hard. And then Tim Means got me, no excuses. Tim Means, bring your ass over and let me fucking throw some punches at you and get that win back on my side. And then, I mean, there's lots of guys, lots of guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, like I said, I said this to you beforehand. I'll say it to you now. You are the A side now, Mike. Like, you are the star. And I like you mentioned your biggest fan. I know one of your guys, I talked to him recently, Josh Moreno. He loves you. And he was like, he's the guy who wants to fight Mundell. And he was talking, I know he said he had you in your corner for that fight as well. So,
yeah, Josh Moreno's a good guy. I don't know if I'd be in his corner because, he's in New Mexico and I'm over here in Florida, and I would be there just to, I'd share some stuff on the fight for sure. And Moreno's tough, man. I used to train with him a lot back at Jackson Wink. He helped me out with some training. But, what ain't broke, don't fix it. And I've been doing things the way I've been doing things. Moreno's a friend, but it's tough because I got to keep my shit going over here. And sometimes some of these guys they need to know that you got to make it happen for yourself, because that's what I did. I took leaps and bounds. I made jumps and I made shit happen. And I made sure that when I got in that ring, I performed. So when you're calling for something and calling for something and calling for something, and it doesn't seem to be happening, you just stay ready and you keep knocking out everyone else. You keep fighting everyone else. Don't just sit around and wait for that next fight. Maybe it's finally going to pay off for Michael Chandler. He's been waiting for Conor McGregor for like 2 years. But like, don't sit around and wait, because while that other guy doesn't need you to fight him right now, and you feel like you need to fight him, nothing's happening for you because you're not going out and grabbing anything and making it happen. You got to go want to fight everyone and anyone, no matter who it is. And that's the thing too. That's why I went ahead and I mentioned, these bare knuckle guys are in here. They can call me and say a name and I say yes, and let's fucking go. I put the plan together. I start preparing and training. It doesn't matter who. So, I'm not. I don't have fear for anyone in that bare knuckle ring. Once we step inside that ring and that ref says knuckle up, that's it is what it is. He's pretty much saying, okay, you can kill each other, go. And then it's like that's what I try to do, man. I try to take you out before you take me out, because I fight. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not shy. I'm gonna go after it. I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna take the punches. I'm gonna give the punches better than the ones I take. So anybody who has anything negative to say about me, I'm just taking the opportunities that are given to me and making the most out of them.
absolutely. And when you think about the face of combat sports, I think you probably right now, you still probably think a little bit about Canelo in boxing. He's probably still the biggest name in boxing. In UFC, it's no doubt it's Conor. Conor's still the biggest name in the sport. But when it comes to bare knuckle, there's nobody bigger, there's nobody better, there's nobody tougher, there's nobody bigger. It's Mike Perry. And I love that you've gotten the success. I love you found the success. I said this the other day. I said, I know as a journalist, I can't root for anybody, but I quietly root for Mike Perry. I'm just so happy to see the success you found. And I think Saturday night was further proof of that. You saw the buzz, you heard the buzz, you felt it. You become a star, my friend, and man, I can't wait to see what you do next. And Platinum Pit fights. Maybe you stand outside the ring waiting for Jake Paul after he fights Mike Tyson. Whatever comes next, the world's going to be watching.
I like it, David. Thank you so much for your time, brother. God bless, and let's keep cracking them.